Okay, so I'm going to be really updating my ritualistic services whenever it concerns really the demand of the particular situations in which people will be involved. Now, granted, I found myself in a very precarious position, okay? So, whenever it comes to me working with demons, people would automatically assume I do hexes and curses and shit, but I don't. And that's the problem because then, whenever it comes to motherfuckers that much want to, contact me for my services, but are like, this motherfucker works with demons though. And there'd be those of which would come along and say, hey, can you do a curse or a hex for me? And I'd be like, no. And they'd be like, you work with demons though. Why the fuck aren't you doing that? I'm like, well, I'm not like every other motherfucker at which you go to for that type of shit. Now, granted, whenever it comes to the uses of that for malicious intent or for revenge and shit like that, of course that's going to have a way fucking higher demand than whenever it comes to like blessing the home or cleansing and shit like that. It has a higher demand and higher prices. And whenever it comes to like divorces and shit like that, why have that whenever you just get someone to fucking, get a spell done for you, of which just ends it straight off the bat. Lower prices, you don't have to go through all the fucking court systems and shit like that. And also, whenever it concerns like people much work within the criminal underworld, what would be easier? Would it be easier to send a hitman to a motherfucker's house to kill him? Or would it be cheaper to, send a hex and a curse that's just as fucking, well, fatal and you don't get caught because, well, how the fuck are they going to prove that? Now, the reason why I also don't do curses and hexes is because there are certain types of people out there and which do have spiritual attunement and understand when there's an outside force of which is intervening within their situations. And whenever it comes to me, I don't do it just because of that measure alone, because whenever it comes to me, I do have hexes and shit sent against me quite a bit. Not necessarily from people of which are paid to do it, but just because, well, I do tend to piss off people that practice the same things I practice, and they don't like how I'm going about it. So that's why they're after my fucking ass. And so I'll go ahead and specify the due measures of which I could do for you. So if there's ever a relationship problem in which you're pretty much having an intuitive nudge of which you think your spouse is cheating on you, I could send a spirit to either confirm or deny that intuitive nudge to really show whether it's your problem or it's their problem. And whenever it comes to cleansing houses and shit, the one thing that I noticed is that yes, houses can be cleaned and, cleansed from any spiritual activity. But the thing is that those spirits, if there's a portal opened by an individual or anything other than, like probably a close family friend, then those spirits would just simply come back. So whenever it comes to cleansing, there have been times where people would have their houses cleansed and then still wonder, like probably like a couple weeks after, why their house is suddenly infested again and shit's starting to fucking go around. And so if you wish to be contacted upon those due measures or wish to contact me, I don't have to be over at your place physically. I could have a sigil that has an assigned property of being able to cleanse, and you simply put it in the center of your house. And if you do send pictures of certain rooms at the place, it would help with visualization aspects to further strengthen the links between me and the house of which you want to be, well, cleansed of anything in which you don't particularly find, well, let's just say, fucking beneficial. And what other things can I do? Love spells, honestly, whenever it comes to love spells in particular, here's the one thing in which people get misjudged about love spells. Is that they think that if I cast a spell on somebody of which they want, then suddenly that person's going to come fucking running at them, fucking head over heels, fucking drop down on their knees and worship them like a god. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Depending upon the state of their spirit, they can either, here's the thing, is that the stronger their spirit is, the less likely they'll be falling for it. Reason why is because they'll understand there's something that's coming into their life that's not of their own invitation. And there are some individuals like that. I'm one of them, luckily. But what other methods can I really get into for just anything that's of benefit of which I could provide, of which could aid you? Uh, hmm. Whenever it comes to legal cases in which you're a party and which is pretty much, you know, dealing with gossip or anything around any particular measures, any underhanded shit in which makes you lose, like for instance, any legal battles in particular, whether it comes to custody or whatever, for that fucking reason, if you have an asshole, fucking wife or husband, okay? No, I'm able to intervene upon those due measures, yes. Now, granted, I'm going to have to be really fucking specific upon those due measures. Reason why is because if I say or send out the intention of which isn't really tempered to what I need it to be, then it could really fuck up the result quite heavily in a way of which doesn't really help out either party in particular. So I would have to be careful upon that due measure. Now, this is something in which I could throw out to those of whom have libido problems, in which, whenever it comes to me in sex magic, I do operate within that faculty. And if you're a guy in which fucking just can't get it up with your wife or shit like that, trust me, I can help you with that whenever it comes to Viagra. But honestly, whenever it comes down to it, I think Viagra would be cheaper than this fucking ritual spell. So I'll go ahead and leave it at that. I guess for this particular segment, I'll go ahead and write down actually what my services will be go ahead and corresponding with whenever it comes to my demands or your demands in particular, which you're contacting me for. And I'll go ahead and allow it to be specified further in those regards.